I decided to do something about it. I decided to harness the technology and innovation of the private sector, to put the system up for bid to see if we can do it more compassionately and more efficiently. But the President of the United States, the man who had promised freedom and flexibility, said no after he met in the White House with the leaders of the AFL-CIO. It's frustrating that the AFL-CIO is setting welfare waiver policy for the United States. And it's especially frustrating for those who need help. Because you see, I envision a one-stop shop for help center where someone who needs a hand is given a voucher for training or daycare or services, a voucher redeemable at that person's choice of a community center or a church or a synagogue or a government agency. You see, our goal is to help welfare recipients become responsible citizens and encourage them to make choices, not to be the passive recipient of a handout. Our goal is to replace dependency with dignity. The best welfare plan is local. The most effective and compassionate welfare system is one that restores the human link between recipient and giver, that replaces a faceless bureaucracy with the helping hand of a neighbor. Government does not have a monopoly on compassion, and we must do more to encourage people of faith, people following a religious imperative to love their neighbors, to be an integral part of our nation's efforts. There's no better place to change a life than a place full of faith, a place full of love, and a place full of hope. Our new laws in Texas take advantage of charitable choice introduced by Senator Dan Coates and say to faith-based groups, you can help change your neighbors' lives without losing your soul and without fear of the government intruding into your mission. Whether we're talking about welfare or education or any other aspect of government, Republicans believe in the 10th Amendment. Republicans know that the people who care most about the state of Indiana are Indianans. And I know that Texans can run Texas without the federal government telling us what to do. Republicans know that government does not create prosperity. Producers and entrepreneurs do. The role of government is to create an environment that attracts capital, an environment where people are willing to take risks to create jobs. That's why Republicans support tort reform. That's why Republicans support the cut in the capital gains tax. That's why we know regulatory policy must be based upon sound science, not some social fad. And that's why we believe in free and fair trade. And Republicans know that private property is the backbone of capitalism, and all public policy must respect private property. And finally, Republicans believe in the worth of the individual and in the strength of the family. Strong families make strong communities. Strong families nurture and love. In our families, we learn the values essential to make us the good citizens of the world. All public policy should work to strengthen families and keep them strong. One of my main responsibilities as governor, and I believe one of the responsibilities as Republicans, is to set the tone for change. Whether that change involves schools or the juvenile justice system, or whether that change involves solving the number one problem facing America, the culture of our time. A culture that says, if it feels good, do it. And if you have a problem, blame somebody else. The warning signs of today's culture are everywhere. An American child is abused or neglected every 10 seconds, is born to an unmarried mother every 24 seconds, is born into poverty every 34 seconds, is born to a teenage mother every minute, is arrested for a violent crime every 5 minutes. Truth of the matter is, our culture must change if your children and our little girls are to grow up in a peaceful and decent society. Government can be a part of the solution with laws and policies that send clear signals that each and every one of us is responsible for our own behavior. Strong laws help, but all the laws in the world cannot make people love one another. Government can hand out money, but it cannot put hope in our hearts or a sense of purpose in our lives. It cannot bring us peace of mind or joy. It cannot fill the spiritual well from which we draw strength every day. Only faith can do that. I'm convinced that to fundamentally and permanently change our culture, we must have a renewal of spirit in our country, a return to bedrock values that have stood the test of time. Not the values of one religion over another, but values like love your neighbor like you'd like to be loved yourself. Give an honest day's work for an honest day's wages. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. Respect others, respect their opinions, and always remember, it's you who's responsible for what you do. I know I've painted a pretty tough picture about our culture, and indeed we face many challenges. But I want you to know I'm an incurable optimist. I have seen a culture change once in my lifetime, so I know it can change again. Not backwards, but forwards to a new day, which says to each and every American, you're responsible. It's you who's responsible for the children you bring into this world. It's you who's responsible for loving your neighbor. And it's you who's responsible for the health of the community in which you live. From the pulpits of our churches to the bully pulpits of our government, we must all sound the call to personal responsibility. We must all be leaders in our own way by being good citizens, good neighbors, and good parents, by promoting good values in our homes and not being ashamed to promote them in the public arena. There's much to do, and I know this great nation will succeed. I know we'll create a more decent and compassionate society. For our country's most glorious moments have come in times when the world seemed uncertain and adrift. And we're not alone. Guided by the fixed stars of our faith and our national soul, I know we'll rise to the challenge and create a better day for our children, for our country, and for America's future.